What's up, metalheads? My name's Jamie. This is the Blades and EDC channel, and thank you all so much for being here. If you're new, consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button for me. It helps the channel to grow and get pushed out to new viewers, and we're trying to hit that 1K mark, so we're getting close. All right, today I'm going to do something a little different. Today I'm going to do 10 gentleman's knives. These are 10 knives that I think would make excellent gentleman's knives. All of these weigh less than 3 ounces, and you could carry them just fine in some dress slacks or some khakis or something like that. They'd be unassuming, not intimidating at all, and would work fine in an office or a church environment. You know what I mean? You'd be fine carrying these. I would be in either of those environments. So, first up, I have an honorable mention. The reason this one didn't make the list is the weight, and that is the Bitster variant PE2. I think this, if it was lighter weight, would definitely make the list. It's a great knife, looks and feels premium, other than it's a little heavy. I love this knife. It's one of my favorite knives. So, but it's too heavy, so it did not make the list. All right. First up on the list, and these are in no particular order, although I did save my favorite for last. The last one is in particular order. It is my favorite, and I think the best gentleman's knife that I've had the chance to hold and have in hand. There may be better out there, but for me, this is the best I have had. And that's the only one that's in any order. The rest of them are in no particular order. First up, may surprise some of you, but may not surprise others. The Benchmade Bugout. It's extremely lightweight, thin, unassuming pocket clip. If you pulled this out and handed it to someone in an office or at your church, I don't think any of them would be overly intimidated by it. You put it in your pocket, it's extremely lightweight. Excuse me. You basically forget it's even there. I've done that before, and it has ended up in my laundry before. Luckily it didn't get washed, but yeah. The Benchmade Bugout. And I think any Bugout would make work for this, although I think if you get the one with the aluminum or the carbon fiber, I think those are a little more gentlemanly, I would say. They're more expensive. You know, sometimes, you know, more money does give you a more premium feel. And in this case, with most of these knives, I definitely think it does. So this isn't about the price per se, but it's about how it feels in hand, the weight, and how it would look to other people that aren't knife people, basically. Next up would be the Spyderco Chaparral. And again, there are different versions of this knife, different variations, and all of them would fit the bill. Very thin, very lightweight. This one's a lockback, so it's a two-handed opening and closing knife for most people. Although you can, you know, thumb flick this knife out with some effort. You know, this is a... Now, I no longer have the bird's eye maple here. The bird's eye maple, I think, would fit this category even better. I think it looks better. It looks more premium. That's just a personal preference, though. But any of these knives, whether it's this one, the bird's eye maple, the lightweight version, all of them would work fine in a gentleman's carry. And, yeah. And these are all also great knives, also, I should point out. None of these are, like, just to carry because they're gentleman's knives. These are all fantastic knives. Very well made with very good action. And they're all also great knives, so you don't have to carry these as gentlemen's knives, but yeah, I think they would work well for that. Next up, we have a slip joint. The Lion Steel, this is the BM1, the carbon fiber version. There are many versions of this knife with different inlays. These are titanium frame, M390 blade, but this one's carbon fiber. I think the ones with the different woods would probably look a little more gentlemanly. But again, that's a personal preference. But yeah, any two-handed opening knife, slip joint, lockback, I think would fit that bill. And this one does not have a pocket clip, so you can either drop it in your pocket just like this, or you can get a leather slip to slip it in, or there's other materials slips are made of. Slip it in and slide it in your pocket, and yeah, it's a great knife and would be great for an office carry. So yeah. Next up, we have the Kaiser Mini Bed Glider. This is the premium bed glider with the titanium scales, M390 blade. But there are many variations of this knife. I think all of them would work. Some of them are much less expensive. So in my opinion, they won't feel as gentlemanly, but they would work fine in that environment. They're not large knives. Now, I wouldn't go with the full-size bed glider. It's much longer, much bigger. This is a smaller knife. Again, all these are under 3 ounces, and some of the other variations of this knife are even less lighter weight than this one. This one weighs a little more because of the titanium, but it's still under 3 ounces. Very smaller knife, and I don't think anyone would have a problem with you pulling this out at your desk, open a package, or handing it to someone that needs to borrow a knife. This would be fine for that. So, Kaiser Mini Bag Glider. Next up, we have the Monterey Bay Knives Slayback. Now, again, I would not go with the full size or the XL Slayback. It's way too large for this category, in my opinion. This one's kind of on the edge, in my opinion, for that category, because it's not really a big knife. It's very lightweight, but the blade, it can look a little intimidating, I guess, for some people, non-knife people, but in my opinion, it's not. Yeah, it's a very premium knife, very neutral ergos, very neutral. If you notice, none of these knives are like tactical looking knives or anything like that. These are all, fairly thin, very lightweight, and not very large. So I think that's what it takes to make this category, and this one definitely does that, in my opinion. And it's also just a fantastic knife. Fantastic action, extremely well made. Ray Laconico design. Ray Laconico kills it. He really does. Makes some fantastic knives. And this one is definitely one of those. Next up, we have another Monterey Bay knife, another Ray Laconico design. This one is a non-locking knife. This is the EWC. This is a double detent knife, so I thought of whether or not I should put this on the list because it doesn't lock. So if you hand it to someone else, this could be a concern since it's a non-locking knife, but generally in an office, the only thing anybody's opening a knife for is open a package, and I think they'd be fine doing that with this. But this one, some people may disagree with me on because it doesn't lock. And when I'm thinking of a gentleman's carry or office carry, sometimes you're going to be handing that knife to someone that's a non-knife person. So some people may disagree with me on this one, and again, I went back and forth whether or not to put this one on the list. But in the end, I decided to put it on the list because I think it fits the bill, and I think you'd be all right. Just be one of those things that if you do hand it to someone, you let them know, hey, this doesn't lock, so just be careful. Just be careful. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it makes the list. If you disagree, comment below. Should a double detent knife be considered as an office/gentleman's carry? Oops. I think it does. So. Next up, this is a new one I just recently had on the channel, and this version people may disagree with me on, but there's lots of versions of this knife. The milling, the blue and black, I think it's beautiful, but and it's kind of a longer knife. It's the same length as a Bugout. Some people may look at this and feel differently, but I think this is an excellent gentleman's knife. Extremely thin, extremely lightweight. I don't think it looks very intimidating, but some people may disagree with me on that. There are some, like I said, different versions of this knife. But I think this just looks like a exquisite knife. You know what I mean? I think it just looks gorgeous. I think it would be fine in an office or a church or wherever you're at that you're around non-knife people and you needed to hand someone a knife. I think they'd be okay with this. Flipper's pretty easy to use. Yeah, I think it's a great knife. So definitely fits the category in my opinion. So the WEN Kitefin, man, that thing's gorgeous, isn't it? That milling with that blue and black just looks so good. Beautiful knife. Next up, this is one of the ones that's near the top two. I didn't rank this one, but this one's definitely up there, and that is the Quiet Carry IQ. Extremely thin, extremely lightweight, very unassuming pocket clip, very short pocket clip. So nothing about this knife is intimidating in my opinion. I would have no problem handing this to anyone to use. All you got to do is push it or light switch it. It's kind of hard to even mess this one up. It's so good. Very thin profile. Most of these are, other than like the Bugout. I mean, a few of them that aren't. Most of these, as you see, have a similar shape to them. No tactical looking anything here. This is just a great little EDC knife, and honestly, all these knives would be great for anything, but all these I think would be great for an office or gentleman carry environment. And yeah, this one's definitely up there on the list for me. Love this little knife. Fantastic little knife. Surprised this knife has not sold yet. Really surprised. This one's been in the knife sale, last 2 knife sales. I'm shocked it hasn't sold. Next up, we have another slip joint. This one I actually do have a slip for. This is the Tactile Bear. Beautiful knife, beautiful milling. I have polished this one up a bit to make it a little more shiny. But again, two-handed knife, two-hand opening, two-handed close. You could probably do without the lanyard in an office environment. I like having a lanyard on there to pull it in and out of the slip, but you know, you don't have to have a lanyard on there. You can take that off. You know, again, slip joints are one of those things I kind of went back and forth with because, you know, they could be easier to cut yourself with if you don't handle them properly. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people carry slip joints, like the old timers carry the old timer knives or the little case knives, slip joints. And this is just a modern take on that. And yeah, I think this would be fine in an office environment or church. And very, very thin, very lightweight and gorgeous. Beautiful knife. And last, but in this case, certainly not least, if you've watched my channel for a while, you may have already figured it out. The Tactile Rockwall. This is, out of all these, I think this is the best gentleman's carry. I think it feels the most premium. I think it looks premium. I think if you were to pull this out in an office environment to around non-knife people, they'd look at this thing and go, man, that's beautiful. What is that? Where'd you get that at? It's just one of those knives. It's extremely lightweight, pretty thin, very unassuming pocket clip. This version with the golf looks amazing, but there's a couple different variations, different milling you can get. So yeah, I think this one's great. One thing about some of these is you can two-hand open them, but some of them you can't, so you do have to be able to flip them. Thumb studs aren't for everyone. Sometimes, especially if you're not a knife person, it can take you a minute to figure thumb studs out, but most people can at least slow roll a knife. And yeah, this is, in my opinion, out of all these knives, I think this is the best suited for a gentleman's carry, for whether that be an office, a church, or wherever you're going, where you're going to be wearing slacks or khakis and need something lightweight and thin and unassuming. So I think this is this happens to be the most expensive knife out of all these knives also, but I don't put it in this position for that reason. It feels worth every dollar it costs. It's just a fantastic knife and looks fantastic. And you know, even if you're like me and you're not a gentleman, you put this knife in your pocket, it makes you feel a little bit gentlemanly, right? So yeah, the Tactile Rockwall, great knife. Love this knife. And it is, none of the rest of these are numbered on this list, but this one is definitely at the top of the list in my opinion. All right, guys, comment below. What knife do you think is the best gentleman's knife, and what's not on this list that you think I should check out that would fit this category? I'd love to hear your opinions on that, and that will open my eyes to some new knives out there probably. So, all right, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button for me, and I'll see you guys on the next one.